Yo, what's up guys, Ardactic here, and today we're going to be putting Sensor Drone against Flare in today's ability comparison. Hope you guys enjoy. Please be sure to like, subscribe and all that shit, and let's get into the video. To start off with, I'm going to be breaking down these abilities and explaining how they work, hopefully clearing up some common misconceptions. Sensor drones are reveal capable of revealing enemies behind obstacles even when they're not in direct visible sight of the sensor drone itself. For example, if you throw a sensor drone at the house and it sticks to the outside of the walls, you'll be able to see the enemies within the house itself. Flare differs from this by revealing enemies who are in the line of sight of the flare. Hence, if you're behind an obstacle and the flare is on the same side as the enemy, you'll be able to see the enemy, but if the flare is on the same side as you, the enemy will not be visible. Now that we have cleared up how the abilities actually work, let's get into today's ability comparison. Today we'll be comparing two abilities using 7 categories specially selected for today's episode. The 7 categories we'll be using are talent, throwing range, reveal range, cooldown, difficulty, duration, and other effects. For this episode, we'll be covering duration first for reasons that will become clearer later on in the episode. The duration of sensor drone is 2, 3, 4, and 5 at each respective rarity, and the duration of flares up to 7 seconds at all rarities. So as you can see, the duration of flare is way longer than sensor drone, especially at the lower rarities. However, I specifically said up to because in order to achieve this full duration, you have to launch it in the air and make sure it does not touch the ground, because upon doing so, the flare is destroyed, hence shortening the lifespan of the flare. This is a quick little post-edit clear up, but the flare disappears once the flare is no longer in motion. Just had to clear this up because the flare does a little bounce once it touches the ground. So as you can see, in terms of raw duration, we're gonna have to give it to flare, but things get a bit spicy when we move over to the talents. So with sensor drone, the two talents that directly affect sensor drone are Saboteur, which is unlocked instantly, and Tracker, which is unlocked at level 12. Saboteur reduces the cooldown of sensor drone by 50%, and Tracker increases the duration of sensor drone by 10 seconds. On the other hand, the two talents that directly affect Flare are Ranger, which is unlocked instantly, and Light 'em Up, which is unlocked at level 22. Ranger reduces the cooldown of Flare by 50%, and Light 'em Up increases the duration of Flare by 100%. Okay, so both Sensor Drone and Flare share one talent in common, so there's no point talking about them. So instead, we're going to be talking about the Tracker talent for Sensor Drone and the Light 'em Up talent for Flare. So when we apply these respective talents to the duration of the ability, we come out with a duration of 12, 13, 14, and 15 for Sensor Drone, and a duration of 14 seconds at all rarities for Flare. So looking at these stats, we can clearly tell that the duration is still greater than sensor drone at common and rare rarities, but when we get to the epic rarity, it's the same, and the legendary rarity, it is surpassed. So as a result, I'm going to have to give sensor drone the win in this category. The next category that we'll be covering is throwing range, and with this one, I don't actually know statistics, but I do have eyes, so you know, I can see along with other people that the range of the sensor drone is much further than Flare, and I mean much further. I mean, you could dash this to the other side of the world. Imagine this character was an Olympic athlete doing discus. That'll be a show and a half. But anyways, of course, I'm gonna have to give it to Sensor Drone if you guys were confused for whatever reason. And yeah. The next category we'll be covering is reveal range. And for this one, again, there's no specific figures, but like I said before, I have eyes and I can clearly tell there is a winner. And this winner is by far Flare. This range is huge in comparison to the sensor drone. Here's the best shots that I could get, but you know, as you can tell, it's just much bigger, and therefore I'm gonna have to give it the win. For the next category, we'll be covering difficulty. So for sensor drone, we're gonna have to give it an easy rating. I mean, you literally just fling it out and it sticks there. Like, it's really that easy. For Flare, we're gonna have to give it a medium rating just because it's annoying to control. You can't just stick it to one, just have it sit there, and you have to chuck it in midair in order to get the full duration out of it. So if you couldn't tell already, we're gonna have to give Sensor Drone the win on this. The next category we'll be covering is cooldown, and this is a nice and simple one. So for Sensor Drone, the cooldown is 26, 22, 18, and 14. And for Flare, the cooldown is 28, 24, 20, and 16. So as you can see, the cooldown on Sensor Drone is 2 seconds less at all rarities, so we have a clear winner, being Sensor Drone of course. Now that we've gone through all the categories, let's go through the pros and cons of each ability. So starting off with Sensor Drone, the pros: easy to use, far throwing distance, great talent, better cooldown, better reveal. And the cons being low duration at lower rarities, smaller reveal range, teammates cannot see revealed enemies. Now for Flare, the pros are deals extra burning effect, larger reveal radius, longer duration times, teammates can see revealed enemies, and cons, hard to use, longer cooldowns, low throwing range, and does not go through walls. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you sticking this far into the video, and you know what, since you made it this far, why not drop a like, subscribe, and tell your auntie whilst you're at it. And be sure to drop a comment down below on realm content you would like to see me post on this channel. In fact, scratch that, any content you would like to see me post on this channel. Well, I guess this video would not be complete if I didn't give my final verdict on which ability I believe was better. So if you're going for an assassin loadout, you're definitely going to want to pick up sensor drone with the talents, of course. However, if you're going for a hunter loadout, then you're obviously going to want to pick up flare. But that's not what you guys came here to hear. So if you're going to go for anything else, then personally, I believe that the winner is, drumroll please, sensor drone. Now, sensor drone is just an overall better ability. There's no disputing it. The only situation where I'd be willing to pick up flare is if I'm playing squads, maybe even duos, or if I'm picking it up at low rarities and I'm not playing with the talents, of course. Otherwise, I'm sticking with sensor drone all day. You never know, this might be changed in the future since Hi-Rez are obviously looking to update the game more and more as it goes, but when that happens, I'll be sure to keep you up to date. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, as your enjoyment brings me enjoyment and keeps me motivated to continue producing videos. So with that said, I hope to see you in the next one, and peace.